Hello everyone, I would like to share with you Unit 21 of the HKDSE Grammar Book, and we are to cover the following topics: the past perfect tense, the past perfect continuous tense, and how the past perfect tense would be used in the reported speech. So, hopefully this video would be useful to you. I will upload the PowerPoints and the DSE Grammar PowerPoints on Google Classroom and share that with you. If you need to refer back to these PowerPoints, please feel free to do so, and I hope you will be able to complete the Google Form exercises. All right? So with no further ado, let's begin with past perfect tense. Past perfect tense is the past of the past. Now, what does that mean? It means that an incident that has happened before the past. Now let me illustrate this with an example. Okay. All right. So, wow, we are being really late. We arrived at the airport at 6 p.m. Okay. So this is past tense, which we use very often in our daily lives. So this is when we arrived at the airport. This is something that happened before. Now, let's take a closer look at what happened. At 5 p.m., the plane left. All right, so the plane left at 5. It was earlier than when we arrived at the airport. When we arrived at the airport, it was already 6 p.m. So that means the plane left earlier than the time we arrived. So in that case, we'll need to use the past perfect to indicate the time and the sequence. So this is a sentence that we'll use if we combine them together. So at 5 p.m. the plane left. When we arrived, it was 6 p.m. When we arrived at the airport at 6 p.m., the plane had left. So this indicates an event that's before the past, right? Because both of these incidents happened before, but this was even earlier. So we'll use past perfect to indicate that. Okay? So if I can remind you again, past perfect means past of the past, which is illustrated in this example. Now, what is the structure of past perfect like? It starts with a had, regardless of the pronoun. It's I, you, we, they, he, she, it. They'll all follow with had. Then you'll match it with the past participle. So according to the verb tables you memorized in primary school, the present tense, leave, past tense, left, and the column on the right, that would be the past participle, left. So it's had, left. Let's take a look at more examples right here. When Jane arrived home yesterday, I had gone, or I had left, or they had gone, they had left. This is because both of these two incidents happened in the past, right? But which one is earlier? This action. We had gone, or we had left. It's earlier than the past. It's the past of the past. Therefore, we'll use the past perfect tense. Had gone. More examples right here. By the time John received the award, he had worked with a lot of actors. He had directed a lot of films, or he hadn't made a lot of money, right? So, sorry about that. But in this case, you could see that this action is earlier than the past tense here. Therefore, we use past perfect. When I got married, I had graduated from university. I hadn't started a business. I hadn't made a lot of money. So these events must be earlier than this, which is also in the past, right? So these are all examples of the past perfect tense. Now moving on, I'd like to talk about the past perfect continuous tense. You could see the following sentence: the team had been meeting when the alarm went off. So similarly, there is an alarm that went off right here. It happened in the past. At the same time, the meeting was taking place during the entire period. Okay? So, when you choose to use the past perfect continuous tense, you may try to ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, did the meeting happen in the past? Definitely, according to the timeline, it's just there. So that's definitely a yes. Did it go for a period of time? Yes, it was right there, including the time when the alarm rang. Okay, so we'll put a tick for that. Did it happen before the alarm went off? So as you can see, they were having the meeting before the alarm. So you can definitely use the past perfect continuous tense. They had been meeting when the alarm went off. It happened during the time when the alarm went off. So you can use the past perfect continuous tense. Let's talk about the structure first, and we can have more examples. The team had been meeting when the alarm went off. We start with had been plus the verb meet plus ing. So this is already static, regardless of the pronoun, the subject. No matter you're using the team or he or they or I, it's gonna stay the same as had been. Okay, so this is the structure. Let's take a look at another example. Oh, I had a headache after the lesson because the students have been screaming all the time. Sounds familiar, right? So let's try to ask ourselves these questions. Did the screaming happen in the past? Yes, definitely. Did it go for a period of time? Definitely. During the entire lesson, they were screaming. They were crazy. Did it happen before Mr. M's headache? Yes, definitely. It was only because of them screaming I had this really bad headache. Great. So we would definitely use the past perfect continuous tense. Now, let's take a look at more examples. I had been working at a company for 5 years when I got the promotion. So this happened in the past, and this happened during his service at the company, before the promotion. So we would use past perfect. I had been working. Let's try to take a look at the negative form. The printer had been printing properly, or you can say the printer hadn't been printing properly when it broke down yesterday. Now, if you go back and ask those questions, you could say that the printer didn't work before, right? It happened before that. So this is what you can do. The printer hadn't been printing properly when it broke down yesterday. It's indicating the functions of the printer before yesterday when it broke down. Okay, and you can also indicate that it has been there for a period of time. It's continuous. Right? Now, we're done with the two tenses, past perfect and past perfect continuous. Now let's try to apply them in reported speech. How do we do that? Let's take a look at these examples. Now, when we use sentences or statements in direct speech, this is what's going to happen in reported speech. Regardless of these tenses, simple past, present perfect, past perfect, the outcome will always be past perfect. Say, if you use a sentence like, I traveled to China. So the reported speech would be, he had traveled to China. These would also lead to the same outcome. Had traveled. Now, say the past continuous tense or the present perfect continuous tense was used. It would lead to this outcome, past perfect continuous tense. Okay, this was exactly what we've just learned. So it'll be converted to had been traveling. Okay. So here are some examples. You could see how the direct speech is being converted to past perfect tense in reported speech. You can always pause this screen, take a look at the examples, or refer to the PowerPoints. Now, we talked about reporting statements. What about questions? There are two types of questions, right? Number one, yes/no questions. When the answer could be yes or no, this is what we do. Have you been studying camels for a long time? You could change it to, she asked him if he had been studying camels for a long time. Okay. So you can use whether or if, and then you can change the tense from present perfect tense to past perfect tense. Okay, so the question word is the same according to the direct question. She inquired if he had given the lecture. Okay, when you read this question, you can answer it with a yes or no. Then you would know to delete this and change it to if or whether given the lecture. Right. Now the second case would be this. If your question is a WH question, say how many times have you been there before? You can't answer with a yes or no. Then you have to repeat the question word. Of course, you change the tense into past perfect tense if it is originally present perfect tense in direct question. Okay, so in here, how many times have you been there? It would be, she asked him how many times he had been there. So the change is indicated here. What did you do would be what they had done. Okay, so you can see it's the past perfect had plus the PP, and the pronoun is being swapped around. Okay, so that pretty much summarizes our 3 topics here. All the best in attempting the questions. Don't forget, if you have any questions, make sure you ask us or your subject teachers. Bye.